Welcome to our second episode. This is Jared from the ActualiseYou team. Since the whole coronavirus pandemic, everything has been a bit topsy-turvy, and adaptations have to be made in every organization and industry. I listened to a discussion with Simon Sinek's thoughts on looking at this as an opportunity, the whole coronavirus thing. For companies operating for 20 plus years in the same way, this is a complete culture shock, and they have to really come to terms with what they're doing and how they can do things differently. Even healthcare providers can't keep up with the changing systems and requirements from their side. And, this is just looking at at the first few months into this thing. But, before we even clear it up, we don't even know what the regulations and things are going to become like, from a contact perspective with other human beings, from an events perspective. There's so much in the unknown, and we're just all trying to keep our heads above water. So from the interviews that I have been doing, I believe that we have an understanding that human development, HD, as I like to call it, is not a simple matter. So, in and amidst all of this, we've all come to this point in our lives where we don't really know what's going to happen with the future, and we need to do a bit of introspection, or we have time to do introspection, and we need to decide what we can do and what we would like to do, and how we'd like to develop ourselves in the future. Policymakers are going to have to develop their policies differently because of the coronavirus pandemic, and people from multiple backgrounds and in multiple industries that I've spoken with over the last few weeks, this is impacting everyone, and a lot of people are just dealing with crisis management situations, thinking about what's going to happen next week, how I'm going to deal with this, how I'm going to deal, maintain these clients, keep them going, keep those people going, and no one's really looking forwards and thinking, okay, in 2 months' time or 3 months' time, when this thing is clear, are we just going to go back to the way that it was? I honestly don't think so, and that's not a bad thing, but I think we all just need to, be realistic about it and take it one step at a time and not overwhelm ourselves with thoughts. So my background is in sports science and management of sports and recreation. So I did my undergrad degree in sports science and my postgrad in sports and recreation management. So these were truly pivotal years that developed my thoughts and feelings about things around me. It really broadened my horizons and helped me to not take anything at face value, to do engage in critical thinking and think a little bit deeper. So this set me up to begin my own company in partnership with a great mentor of mine, and I've never really looked back since then. Okay, well, that's a lie, but there are tons of what ifs. I think whether I went into corporate or whether I did this, there would have been many what ifs, and I'm sure you've seen in your life, no matter what decision you make, there's always what if I did this, what if I did that. Every day for me holds a real learning opportunity, and whether I learn from it now or later is really up to me. So physical development is really one of my passions, and I love seeing people sort of hack their way around exercises when they begin, and as they progress, how they actually start doing it the right way and start performing optimally. Now this takes time. Some people it takes 4 weeks, some people it takes 8 weeks, some people it takes 12 months to reach their full potential in that sense. And this really, I found, it promotes profound healing in ways I would never have imagined. Like people that have torn muscles and completely off, had it operated on, thought, okay, I'm gonna have to deal with this pain for the rest of my life, and it really sucks, and I can't do the things I used to do, and now I'm just not going to do them. And because of like medical, and this is not to, flog the medical industry, this is just what I've seen. But, people are like, okay, well, medical professionals are like, you just have to adapt to a new way of living now. And it's like, no, I don't have to accept that. I don't have to limit myself because of what someone else says. Yes, you need to be progressive and reasonable about things. You can't just jump into what you were doing before. But it doesn't mean you can't get back to where you were before, right? So yeah, I think that's been quite profound. I've worked with people from huge diversities of backgrounds, and from people that are fully functioning, going for like elite athleticism, to people that are quadriplegic and maybe um, have Asperger's syndrome or autism. And I think it's really awesome to work with such a broad spectrum of people. Worked with people from the ages of 3 to 65, and nationalities spanning from Europe to America and across South Africa all the way to New Zealand. The disciplines that I've focused on have been truly diverse and cool. General strength and conditioning training, triathlon, ultra marathons, fundamental skills like fundamental physical skills like swimming, and even rollerblading and running, as well as some piano and guitar in between. And you know, I can't wait to see what's coming up in the next few years, because there's undoubtedly more requests that are going to come. I love team management. I love seeing teams start to communicate better and work together, and yeah, it's just been really awesome to see those developments come out, and people from diverse cultural backgrounds, as well as so from socio-economic statuses, so entry level people like entering into workspaces with like minimum wage, as well as senior executives in major firms. And it's been really a blessing, and it's been amazing. um, some of these are timeless, so I mean it's been several years that we've been working together, and it's really awesome. And then others are just intermittent, periodic, and they get going, they do their thing, and then they leave. And either way, the difference that you see from when the person enters to when they leave has been transformational for me as well. And then how did all this develop? The only answer is by the grace of God and His supernatural provision, in my life. And that's not something I would have said to you 2 years ago. And I think that's quite a cool development. I'm not imposing beliefs on you. I'm not imposing, anything that you have to believe in. That's just my perspective and my development. And, I've built it up to be able to say that now, without being ashamed or anything. And I think that's something that everyone needs, as I'm going to discuss just now. So I've used some parts of my story that have helped develop me and bring me to where I am today, to give you a better idea of how diverse human development is at HD. So HD, I like to think of it as high definition. So high definition human development, if you think about it like that, how clearly defined are your developmental points, right? So every individual I've interviewed thus far for this series has had similar core components that I've identified. So, I've made a note of them, and they may be found differently in, psychological or developmental articles, and that's fine. These are just ideas, that have just I've been working through and trying to understand. So the first one that I wanted to focus on is physical development. So looking at strength, endurance, and even just skill. So you've got gross motor movements and fine motor movements, and even the fine motor movements, this is all connected to your intellectual development. If there's certain intellectual things that you can't do, then you need to reassess your physical ability, because it's going to stop you somewhere along the way. And that doesn't mean you have to stop there, but it means that based on your condition, you're not going to necessarily be able to do something to its full potential, or like you'd want to do it, if that makes sense. Then the second one is nutritional development. So, I have people that have 5 meals a day. I have people that snack all throughout the day. Every 2 hours they have something, so it ends up to like 8 or 10 meals. And then people that have one, like do the intermittent fasting thing where they do one meal a day. So I'm not too sure like how all of that works, and if you're a dietitian you'd understand far better, but most people won't really understand. They just think, okay, either 3 meals or 5 meals, or based on things that they've heard or what they've seen. And what I gather from this is that it's all about energy management and making sure that you have enough energy to complete the tasks that you need to do, either for work or in your personal life or whatever. And that's, to complete your daily activities, if that makes sense. So, it's also important to consider how you balance your macronutrients. So make sure that you get a good balance of carbohydrate, fat, and protein intake. If I eat too much fat, I'm going to get fat, and it's not the fat that makes me fat. It's more the excess of calories that make me fat. If I eat too much protein, it's going to make me fat, because of the energy conversion that takes place in the body. And I just find that interesting, and you can read up more on that. I will put in a few links in the blog post on our website, so you can delve into. So in all of these points, I will add a few links, just so that you can get a better idea of everything. And then so those are the first two. Then looking at time development. Now this is probably a bit, you'd want to say outlandish maybe, but our concept of time is possibly skewed based on the education that we got, or based on the way that our parents viewed time. And I always want to challenge those and question them, because if we're truly aware of time, then we should be aware that time has no limits. We have our lives. I might live to 84 years or 55 years. It doesn't matter. That's my amount of time that I get. But the things that I do every day will affect the amount of time that I get at the end. And in addition to that, the way that I structure my days will also affect the way that I get things done, and how time affects my purpose. And just a question I want to pose here is, does time control us, or are we in control of time? So a lot of us are running a rat race, going from point A to point B, and just having this virus. I've seen how I've been able to better structure my days. Yes, there are immense changes in the way that I operate and the way that I complete tasks and things like that. But it's been very cool to see how that's shifted, because I think I was a bit of a slave to time in the past, and having to be here and do this and do that, but not having those commitments. I've actually now created new commitments for myself, so that I can stay motivated and driven and keep moving forward and keep projects on the move. So career development. So whether you're a business owner, or climbing a corporate ladder, or maybe you're a professional parent, okay? And I almost said just a professional parent. That is certainly not a just, okay? So all of you out there that are taking up that duty, that is a super time consuming, super energy consuming job, and I would certainly advise that you work on maintaining a high energy level through whatever nutrients you take in, making sure that you stay healthy, because unfortunately those children that you take care of, they are super dependent on you no matter what age they are. And um, yeah, ultimately I want to say that in terms of career development, you're the specialist in whatever you've been doing. And um, just because you're a specialist in that doesn't make you a specialist in other things, right? That for me has been true. That's why I want to speak to other people about this human development thing, because I might look very much into the physical realm, but the legal aspect I'm super sucky at, right? Okay, so that's just to be clear on that. Intellectual development. So, yeah, as far as school goes, it's great. It's important to have those structures in place to learn, all the key fundamentals. One of the interesting articles I listened to, or listened to a podcast about, was that most high school teachers, they view, they view a lot of their syllabus as all, they have to get it all done. There's no fundamentals or cores that they have to complete, and then they can get to the ancillary stuff. And so they have to complete the whole syllabus in the year. It's really crucial so that all the learners get what they need from the school or from the education system. And after all of that, then there's still a lot of learners that don't grasp the fundamentals because they had to rush through those to get to the more difficult stuff, and that's something that I would like to challenge any educator that's involved in that, because it's such a, let's say, traditional mindset. And a lot of, so in that study, a lot of university professors, they would say that there's very few fundamentals, but the fundamentals are crucial. So once you completely understand those fundamentals, then you can achieve great things with your, by diversifying. So if you take mathematics, for example, you want to start with your core fundamentals of addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, brackets, those types of things. Only from there can you start doing algebra. If you don't understand those core fundamentals, then, that algebra is not going to make any sense in any way. And I think that's quite a important thing to draw on in terms of intellectual development. As far as learning languages go, I did English and Afrikaans at school. I did a little bit of Zulu up until grade 7, but that progression was so limited looking back, and that's not my teacher's fault, that's the way the syllabus was set up. But looking back, there was no engagement or involvement, or encouragement to actually learn more about the language or the culture of the language. It was just either you get it or you don't type of thing. By the end of school, my school career, I enjoyed English and was not too fond of Afrikaans, but I didn't do too badly. And then at the beginning of my university time, I started learning German. And, this was for a few reasons. One being that I was dating a German girl, and I just thought, okay, well, I've done English, I've learned Afrikaans. We had to do a language option for our studies, and I learned this language, and it just opened my eyes completely. I ended up getting a coaching opportunity at a German school in South Africa, and that really opened my eyes to a whole new world, and without it I would not be where I am or who I am today, I think. So then as far as university goes, these are great, but I think what's important is to take that knowledge and use it to create experience in terms of career, or create experiences that enrich our lives. And I don't know how many of you do that, but yeah. What's your purpose in obtaining your PhD, and what is your purpose for not doing it? I think it's so important to know why you are not doing something, and if you are you know, scraping the bottom of the barrel financially, and then you're gonna try and complete a course that you don't have money for and put yourself out like that. I think it would be better to go and get working experience and find out, maybe you don't even know what topic you want to do, but you just want to get it done so that you can earn more money, and that's great. But maybe if you had to work for a few years and then come back to it, then the intellectual development of that would be far more valuable, because you'd actually start to do your research in something that really means something to you. I honestly think that finishing university at the age of 20 or 23 or anything under 25 is possibly you know inhibits us more than we realize. I'm not saying that it's not good to do that, but we shouldn't rush ourselves through any developmental process. So we're on number 6 now. So looking at emotional development, how well do we regulate our emotions in terms of sympathy, empathy? These are pretty big ones here, and like, is it bad to weep in front of our employees and employers? Is it okay to jump for joy if something good happens? There's always so many what ifs, and maybe we must just react with our emotions and deal with it from there. But I think there's also positive and negative emotions, and they're called upon in the moment, if that makes sense. So you don't want to be laughing when someone's telling a sad story. It's not that's, if you find something funny in the way that they said it, or maybe they slipped up one of their words, you can should have the ability to regulate that emotion and be like, okay, well, this is a sad moment, and and maybe I'm wrong, maybe we shouldn't be able to do that, but this is a sad moment, cry with that person, empathize with them, and then afterwards say, oh yeah, you said this, and I thought it was quite a funny thing, so I'm going to write it down, or post it on my story, or that type of thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and that type of communication is really important, and it just helps create a better bond. And yeah, I think it's interesting to see what causes emotional reactions. So like, if you look at pranks, like people that pull pranks on others, I don't know if they're ahead of the curve or not, but they stir emotions like confusion in people, and those reactions are so priceless, and that's why we love watching those endless YouTube clips on seeing those people's reactions, because it's engaging and it's funny, and we wonder how we would respond to it. And then also, is there such a thing as overregulation? I think in terms of being a sociopath, and sociopath doesn't mean you're going to go out and kill people. Just putting it out there. There's probably like 5% of people that that are sociopaths that will actually like murder people or whatever. That's a different topic. But is there such a thing as overregulation? Then looking at number 7, so we're looking at financial development. So what are the skills you need to manage your finances? How do we enhance those skills and not let our current situation like limit our ability to either give to others, or to save money, or to invest in our education? And like, is financial development all about money, or is there other value that's created through financial development? Then as far as legal development goes, I've found through what I've studied, I got a very brief outlook on legal things or legal matters. And now if I look at how much I know about checking your I's and crossing your T's when signing contracts and such, it's just so different. And like, how does being legally savvy really help you out? Because if you don't read through all the fine print, it can really lead to your downfall, either financially or put you in bad standing with people, because you crossed the lines or whatever, and maybe didn't adhere to all the compliance and that type of thing. And then make sure you learn all you need to know and use the things that you don't need to know to your benefit. So like, yeah, really things that I didn't really need to know, I can now use it advantageously in future contracts. And that's hopefully not to the detriment of those people or organizations. That's hopefully to actually make sure that the systems and the processes that we use will be better, you know, and the communication will be better. And then yeah, like how can you improve your legal knowledge? Yeah, I suppose there's a number of diplomas out there that you could just use to educate yourself. Yeah, I really encourage learning and developing ourselves in these multiple facets. As far as spiritual development goes, so this is number 9. Yeah, this is really a personal thing, and I'm not really going to delve into it too much, but we will touch on it and see how do we develop this as like a skill, um, how do we know if it's the right thing? And 2 things I can draw from this is that if you say it out loud and it makes sense, you're probably going on the right track. So, if I say, and this really just has to resonate with you. Yeah. So, and then also like God looks on the inside and people look on the outside. So you don't have to parade on the streets when you've come right with God. I think, in my opinion, a simple acknowledgement each day will probably please Him more, right? Okay. So yeah, these are really the foundations that are going to set you know, these are setting the foundations for the rest of the HD series, as we'll call it, and things we'll focus on and questions we'll ask. And I can't wait for you to hear what all these different practitioners and professionals have to say, because yeah, it's really been mind-blowing. And yeah, please rate and review this podcast, and we'd love to hear any of your thoughts and observations, so please post that in the comments. You can also head over to our Facebook page at ActualiseYou to join our podcast group. So just go to the group section and join that. We'll be posting some previews and full interviews stuff there, and you can also join our mailing list. Please pop us an email at info@actualise.co.za, and be safe, wash your hands, and look for those opportunities.